Should you invest in your company stock option plans? One of the most common questions that employees in large and multinational companies ask me is, should they invest in their company's stock options? Is it a good idea? What are the risks? Let alone, sometimes they don't really understand what it is, but get it anyway because their colleagues also joined. That's why in this two-part episode, we're going to talk about company stock option plans. In part 1, we'll talk about what it is so you can first understand what it is about. Then in part 2, we'll help you evaluate these plans so you can decide if it's a good idea for you. With that, let's get started on what are company stock option plans. Stock option plans are a kind of employee benefit where an eligible employee has an option to purchase shares of stock of the company and receive additional benefits subject to terms and conditions. Now, I know that was a long definition, so let's break that down, and there are really just 5 components. First, it is an employee benefit where an eligible employee, second, has the option to purchase, third, purchase what? Purchase shares of stock of the company. Fourth, while receiving additional benefits, but to receive those additional benefits, it will be 5, subject to terms and conditions. Let's break this definition down, starting with shares of stock. What is a share of stock of the company? Well, a share of stock is basically a unit of ownership for a company. For example, if you start a business and you are the only person in your business, you're the only owner, your company just has 1 share, and that means you own the entire company. If, say, you and a friend decide to partner up as equal partners, then you can say that your company has 2 shares, 1 for you and 1 for your partner. Then, let's say if you and your friend find an investor and the investor wants to buy 20% of your company, then you can say that, okay, we'll have 10 company shares, 4 for you, 4 shares for your original partner, and 2 shares for your investor. So, if the investor owns 2 shares out of the 10, that gives them 20% ownership. Now, I won't get into the nitty-gritty of how 2 shares suddenly became 10, but at the end of the day, shares just represent units of ownership. And for corporations and multinational companies, there are already so many owners and investors that they can have 1 million or more units of shares. Now, as a shareholder, you can receive benefits like number 1, voting rights or a seat at the board if you own enough shares. Number 2, entitlement to the company's share of profits too, or also known as dividends. And number 3, the value of your shares can go up and also go down depending on the performance of the company. So that's what shares are. They are units of ownership of the company. Now, let's proceed defining stock option plans. The next component to understand is that this is an employee benefit granted to only eligible employees. So for some companies, every employee might receive this benefit. For others, only management level will be entitled. For some, it is based on number of years with a company. The eligibility varies from company to company, and some companies don't even offer this kind of benefit. With that, the next thing to discuss is now to define the phrase option to purchase. And as I explain this, please bear with me because I really don't know why they chose to use terms that could have been made so much simpler. And because of the way people explain this, they can use a variety of terms too. So I'll cover all of them so you can understand your own company's plan. So back to the phrase, option to purchase. Option is just another way of saying you can purchase or you can choose to purchase. So while this is an employee benefit, it is optional. That's why they call it stock option. Now, if you do purchase, another way of saying it is that you participated in the stock option or you exercised your stock option. In other words, bumili ka, ginamit mo yung option, you said yes to the option. There's so many ways of saying it, but it all means the same thing. Option to purchase means you have the choice to purchase, and that choice is, of course, optional. Now, why would you want to purchase, participate, or exercise your stock options? That's because of the additional benefits that usually come with stock options. Each company will have varying benefits, and it's going to be different per company. Here are some examples of the additional benefits that come with stock options. One kind is that of matching shares. For example, your company can say that for each 3 shares you buy, you're gonna get an extra 1. So while you're investing a payment for 3 shares, you'll end up with 4. In other words, this is a 33% guarantee on your investment. For others, this number is 4:1, 2:1, 1:1. It really varies from company to company. Another kind of benefit is that you can purchase shares of stock at a discount. So, let's say each share of stock is already going for 100 pesos per share if it were being sold to the investing public. But as an employee, you can purchase the stock for only 80 pesos per share, netting you a 20% discount. Now, for some startups, they also offer shares for 0 pesos. In other words, for free. These two are the most common kinds of additional benefits: matching shares and discounted shares. But of course, to get these benefits, they will come with terms and conditions. And let's discuss that next. This is another part that varies again from company to company, so let me run through the most common terms and conditions. The first kind of condition usually sets a minimum holding duration or a lock-in period for the shares of stock before the benefits are fully received. For instance, sometimes the matching shares will only be awarded after 3 years of service from the time of participating in the stock option plan. So if you leave the company before 3 years, you'll still own the shares of stock you bought, but you won't get awarded the bonus matching shares. Sometimes there would be a lock-in period of, say, 2 years before you can sell the shares of stock you bought at a discount. And with plans like these, whether or not you stay with the company, you won't be able to sell your shares for 2 years or the lock-in period. There are also conditions that give you a deadline on when you can purchase the shares of stock, as well as deadlines on when you would be able to sell your stocks. So if you miss those dates, you might not be able to purchase again or sell again until the company decides to allow the options again. And that's it. With that said, let's do a full episode recap. What is a stock option plan? It is an employee benefit where an eligible employee has the option to purchase shares of stock of the company to receive additional benefits like having matching shares and discounted pricing, subject to terms and conditions like having a lock-in or holding periods before you can sell. Now, all of these terms would vary from company to company. So it would be best to ask your company HR representative to understand the full terms and conditions. But with this, I hope you've gained foundational knowledge in understanding your own company's stock option plans. And that's part 1. In part 2, we're going to dive into the question of, should you invest into your company's stock option plans? And how do you know if it's a good investment for you? See you there. If you found this episode valuable, then I want to share the inspiration behind this video, which is from Canva, one of Australia's fastest growing tech companies and awarded in 2020 as the number 3 great place to work in the Philippines. Now, Canva Philippines recently got me to deliver a custom training to some of their employees to also help them in making their financial decisions because they wanted their employees to be equipped with independent financial guidance so that their employees could make an informed choice. And that tells me that Canva truly cares for its employees' well-being, and their award for being a great place to work at is well-deserved. Now, while they invested the premium for the custom training I delivered for them, This recommendation is just a bonus I wanted to make for them because they are empowering their team with financial knowledge. So, thank you to Canva Philippines for caring for your team and for also being the inspiration to this episode on stock option plans.